Can't be serious.
I'm always serious before my second cup of coffee.
Not always. But really, don't you have one other suspect besides Bobbie?
Nope.
No evidence at all of anybody else being in the penthouse?
Not a one.
But you must have something.
Yeah, what I have is one hell of a day ahead of me.
Why, what's up?
The DA's antenna for one, and it's homing in on Bobbie.
We've got to help her. Well, I may have something.
What?
Well, finish your breakfast first.
Aren't you going to give me a clue?
Well, that's what I may have, a clue. But just hurry up and finish eating, and then I'll show it to you.
Great. This is the big clue you've uncovered?
Doesn't make any sense to you?
And not a bit. Besides, you haven't even used all the letters.
Yeah, it doesn't make much to me either.
Is that what you got so excited about?
Well, yeah, it made more sense to me last night when I was figuring it out.
Pity it doesn't now.
Well, I guess I got sort of excited that I was actually able to make up a few words instead of just gibberish.
I got news for you. It's still gibberish.
Well, look at it again. Think. See if you can figure something.
Well, you figure something. I've got enough on my mind at the moment. That's your department.
Well, there's no need to snap.
I'm sorry. I'm not sleeping too well these days.
I know.
I keep thinking how Luke's going to feel when he finds out about all of this.
They haven't been able to contact him yet?
He's still in Argentina.
If Bobbie is accused of killing Brock and is put in jail, he's going to go out of his mind.
He's going to think I let him down.
No, that's not true. He'll know you did everything you could to help.
If I'd have done everything I could to help, I could keep her out of jail. The point is, I happen to think she's innocent.
Well, then we're just going to have to work harder to prove that she is.
She doesn't deserve this.
No, she doesn't. She's so good-hearted. I'll never forget how good she was to me when I was carrying Luke's baby.
Yeah, that's right.
When I was going to be deported, you know, she and Ruby offered that I could go and live with them.
I'd almost forgotten those times.
They were pretty awful.
They turned into pretty good ones. I mean, if that had never happened, you and I might never have gotten together. Hmm?
They say that good comes from bad.
Got to be true. That was the worst. Look how it turned out.
I just feel so sorry for Bobbie. I've got to be able to do something to help her.
You know what there is? Keep working on that anagram. That would be the biggest help right now. Because at the moment I have a job to do and I'm dreading it.
You're not going to arrest her, are you?
I'm going to be arguing with the DA against just such an action.
Oh, I hope you can.
So do I. Keep me informed with your progress on that.
Mm. Ex-con dupes daily. I wonder what that could mean. I was hoping to get some ideas from you.
Me? I'm no good at this sort of thing. You're the one who likes to play detective.
You've done it once before.
Once. That was enough, thank you.
Well, come on. Just try. Maybe you'll figure it out.
All right. There's Bobbie and Terry. Bobbie is number one suspect, right?
Yes, but we've got to try and make that not the case.
Well, have you tried the name Terry in this?
She's Brock's daughter.
So?
Well, I just can't imagine her killing her father. Anyway, there's no T in just one R.
Oh, so you have tried that name in here.
Well, a good detective must transcend her personal feelings for the good of the case.
So have you told Robert about this?
Yes, he doesn't think it makes any sense.
Well, it's not finished yet, is it?
Well, no, but I don't have many letters yet, and I don't even know if what I've done so far is right.
You'll get it.
I have to, Celia. By the end of the day, if possible, because the longer it takes, the worse it gets for Bobbie.
You can't.
Why not? I'm ready to go.
There are still too many unanswered questions.
Not in my mind.
Well, there are in mine.
Robert, you've got to stop letting your personal feelings for this woman blind you to the truth.
And listen, you've got to stop letting your personal desire for court cases blind you to this woman's innocence.
I don't believe she is.
Bobbie Brock is a respected nurse. She saves lives.
Yeah, sure. So did Dr. Jekyll. And look what happened when he turned into Mr. Hyde.
Yeah, well, that wasn't real life.
Well, I hate to tell you this, Robert, but in real life, nice people sometimes snap and kill their husbands. Especially someone as rotten as Brock sounds.
All right, well, look, let's just forget about Bobbie for the moment and look at the possibility of somebody else killing Brock.
Fine. Who?
Well, everyone in the apartment building had complained of seeing suspicious characters lately.
So?
One of them could have been after Brock.
We have no proof of that.
Yeah, but it's possible.
Sure, but just tell me, how did they get in?
The back door of the penthouse was ajar.
And the lobby door was locked.
They found a way.
I'll tell you what I think. Bobbie knew about the suspicious characters, and she left the door open on purpose.
Why?
To throw us off and make us think somebody else snuck in and killed him.
Well, someone could have.
Where's the proof?
I'll find it. It's probably with that third bullet.
Yeah, what about that?
Whoever killed Brock is still carrying around that third slug.
You checked all the hospitals, the medical community, and you found no one who reported a gunshot wound from that caliber gun, right?
Look, that doesn't mean that it's not there.
You're reaching, Robert.
And you're not?
Well, like I told you yesterday, we have enough evidence now to convince me that Bobbie Brock murdered her husband.
That's that?
As far as I'm concerned.
Fine. But let me tell you one thing. You're arresting this woman. It's just simply guaranteed that the real killer is still out there roaming the streets.
It's like a dream come true, isn't it?
Your own art show in New York, I'll say.
And it's quite a well-respected gallery.
How did they find out about you?
Mr. Diamond said that he heard about me when he was visiting Port Charles.
Well, I think it's absolutely fantastic. Remember when we were at school? You used to go on and on and on about being an artist someday.
Yes. But then I wanted to live in a garret somewhere and have a lover that looked exactly like Van Gogh.
I can't quite picture that now.
No, nor me. I wanted to make a living at my work.
And be well respected.
Of course.
Well, I'm thrilled for you. What does Grant think about it all?
Oh, well, at least he's not trying to stop me.
Doesn't sound very positive.
Well, it's an improvement from his usual attitude toward my career lately.
Doesn't he approve of your art?
Of course he does. Of course. Holly, I'm sorry. I shouldn't make it sound as though he doesn't.
But there are some problems.
Nothing we can't get through. You know how we are. We get into those spells that we're always at each other's throats, and then we find out it was just a misunderstanding, and we make a big deal out of making up.
Sounds a little wearing.
It can be. Well, I've got to get going. I have to get ready for my trip to New York.
When are you leaving?
Tomorrow.
Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't get a chance to talk more.
Well, when I get back.
It's my fault. I was so tied up with all my detective work that I didn't get a chance to ask you how things are going for you sooner.
They're fine. They are. Don't worry.
Well, listen. Good luck in the city, huh?
Thank you. Good luck finding a murderer.
Who is it?
George Scorpio.
Oh, Bobbie.
Hello, Bobbie.
This isn't a social visit, is it?
Bobbie, I don't know how to say this.
Just say it. Get it over with.
I've got to arrest you.
On what charge?
Suspicion of murder. You're going to have to come with us.
No, you don't put those on
Bobbie,
me.
I'm sorry, but it's regulation. Please, please, don't make it any harder on me than it is. I'll get you
Excuse me. Are we set up, guys?
Speed.
Thank you. Mr. District Attorney, do you think you can get a conviction against Mrs. Bobbie Brock?
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. You sound very confident.
Well, I never prosecute people unless I'm sure they're convictable. I'm also sure that the grand jury will agree, and I predict that they'll indict.
And on what charge?
Well, I'm going for murder in the second.
I see. Mr. Commissioner, does that make you happy?
I'm ambivalent.
Does that mean you don't agree, sir?
The department is still continuing to look into matters.
But wasn't it the police who made the case?
There are some unanswered questions.
Such as?
I'm not at liberty to say.
I see. Has Mrs. Brock's defending attorney been notified? I would like to interview him.
I've sent word down to her cell.
I see. Going to be pleading?
Well, since she is not guilty, she will plead not guilty.
And how do you plan on handling her defense?
Whoops.
Yes, please get a shot of this.
Please, I'm not up for any interviews now. Thank you.
Please, Mr. Meyer, just one or two questions. How is Mrs. Brock?
Brilliantly. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor, I have to ask you something, Robert.
Sure. Ginny, could you just hang around for a minute, please?
Sure. No problem.
Bobbie would like no visitors.
Okay, if that's what she wants, I'll see that that's what she gets.
Thanks.
Excuse me, could everybody here move out of the office? I'd like to have a word to Miss Weber, Mrs. Weber. And
Counselor, after you.
Looks like we meet again in court. Jake?
Real I can do without.
I bet. You lose this one.
Want to bet?
Okay.
I told you that I planned to continue the investigation, and I meant just that.
Right. Glad to hear it.
So, I was wondering if you could come in here Thursday morning for an interview. Been working hard?
I've got to figure this out. How was your day? What happened?
Did everything I could, love.
What do you mean?
DA. It's like trying to move the Empire State Building. This guy wouldn't budge.
You arrested Bobbie?
I had no choice.
You mean she's in jail?
Yes.
Robert, how could you let this happen?
Well, I did everything I could.
Yes, but your best friend's sister.
I can't believe it either.
Oh, look, it's going to go crazy when he finds this out.
Well, hopefully by the time he learns of it, this mess will be cleared up.
You do still think she's innocent, then?
Of course.
Well, then what are we going to do?
The only thing we can do. Continue to look for the real killer. How's the anagram coming?
Oh, not terribly good. How's the investigation coming along? Any new clues or anything?
Again, not too good.
No suspects.
Not a one.
Doesn't look too good, does it?
No. You know I hate sleeping in. Why didn't you wake me when you got up?
Well, Well, I got up at 4 a.m. And you didn't get to sleep until about 3, right?
How'd you know that? I mean, you were dead to the world when I'd finished doing my fiscal report.
I deduced the time. The first time I woke up, it was about 2:30 and you hadn't come back to bed yet.
Good deduction.
Well, my powers of deduction seem to be failing right now. This anagram of Brock's is driving me crazy. It's impossible.
Oh, you can't expect to be brilliant on 2 hours of sleep. Hmm?
Well, I expect Bobbie got even less than that in that jail cell.
Maybe a nice shower would clear your head.
No, not now, Robert. I'm going to stick with this and I'm going to solve it. It may be the only thing I can do to help Bobbie.
You haven't changed position. Hunched. I don't suppose that I could entice you into some breakfast now.
Nope. Not even if you went so far as to make it. I'm determined not to budge from this anagram until I solve it.
You know, it's people like you that should head up government missions. Undaunted, persistent, hopelessly optimistic.
You understand, then?
Of course I do. It's the reason I gave you that wretched riddle to begin with. How's it coming?
Well, whatever it is, it makes absolutely no sense.
Onward.
Is Bobbie getting out on bail today?
I don't know. I hope so.
Actually, I feel a little guilty.
About what?
Well, if I were in Luke and Laura's shoes, I'd be really angry about not being told.
Well,
Especially Luke.
that was Ruby's decision. I mean, Bobbie and Luke are her family. It's not up to us.
Yes, but Luke should be told. I mean, it's his own sister.
Yeah, but for the moment, he's still in Argentina. And Ruby is right. There's no point in burdening Laura with this in view of the fact that she's having a difficult pregnancy.
If Bobbie should be indicted, what will you do?
When that happens, if it happens, I'll call Luke myself. Give him all the technicalities from my vantage point. I'd feel obligated to give it to him straight.
I wish Brock had been straight. This anagram is torture.
Aha! D.L. Brock has made yet another enemy, this time posthumously.
As if he didn't have enough.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm going to be doing today. Apart from talking with the DA, I'm going to be interviewing his enemies. All of them probable suspects. Don't celebrate yet.
Why not? Come Monday, Bobbie Brock will be indicted. The grand jury's a cinch.
What about the third bullet? Doesn't that bother you?
Ah, yes, the third bullet.
Has that ceased to become an element in this case?
Well, it could have been, but it won't be an issue.
How do you figure that?
Because Jake Meyer won't open up that can of worms. A good lawyer never asks a question if he doesn't already have the answer.
I think Jake should ask the question. Give the grand jury something to think about, make him a little bit nervous.
And what if he does? It would only be speculation as to where that bullet is. Besides, I've got additional witnesses.
Have you?
I assure you, Bobbie Brock will be indicted, as she should be. She's the killer.
We'll see.
Monday it is?
Excuse me, Commissioner. Jenny Weber is here.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you later.
Have a seat, Jenny.
Thank you. Well, I gather this is not a typical press interview.
No. I want to talk to you about your relationship with D.L. Brock. And that vendetta against your husband. Was that the first time you ever worked with Brock?
Of course. I'm sure Brock verified that at the time of the incident.
That incident was a simple case of slander. We're dealing with murder now. Needless to say, your case history will have to be gone over again.
I understand.
You were materially involved in trying to ruin Rick. So much so that I almost arrested you.
Mm-hmm. But by then I'd realized that I'd made a bad choice of allies, and I've tried in every way to rectify that.
Which caused you to turn against Brock.
Disassociate myself, I think, would be a better way of putting it.
He didn't quite see it that way. As a matter of fact, on several occasions, he made it public that you were his enemy.
Brock was Brock. There were no shades of gray with him. You were either for him or against him. Therefore, I was his enemy.
Is that what you fought with Bobbie about?
I didn't start those fights, Commissioner, and what Bobbie did out of loyalty was very distressing to me.
Did you impose this dislike of Brock onto Bobbie?
I wanted to forget my past associations with Brock. I did not want to. Why would I want to bear a grudge? All I wanted to do was forget that.
Well, someone had a severe grudge, enough to want to kill him.
I'm sure that's a very big list of someone's, Commissioner. I personally chose and choose to put Brock and everything he represented, out of my life.
You seem to have succeeded very well, Ginny.
I think Duke's Farm Daily. Damn, that doesn't make any sense. What were you up to, Brock?
F-L-A. Flaw.
Florida. From Florida.
Yeah.
Robert.
What's up, love? You got it?
Yes. Ex-con.
Hang on. All right.
All right?
Yeah.
Ex-con from Florida. Dupes Port Charles Daily.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Doc. Okay. Well, thanks for the cooperation, Ginny. We'll be talking again soon.
Yes. Thank you, Commissioner.
Bye. Ex-con, Florida. Dukes. Port Charles Daily.
Hello?
It's Robert, love. Listen to me. What do you know, if anything, about Brock making a trip to Florida recently?
Florida? No, Robert, he didn't go to Florida. He did take a trip to New York. At least that's where he said he was going.
When did he get back?
2 days before the murder.
Now, did the trip have anything to do with getting some personal information? I mean, information as in about you?
No, Brock already knew everything about me. From me, Robert.
Did you use a travel agent?
Yeah, I have a number right here.
All right. Thanks, love.
Brock's travel agent?
Yeah. Call him up and find out if he booked a trip to Florida 1 week before the murder.
Mm-hmm.
Brock did go to Florida. Why did he lie to his family about it? Here's my little genius.
No man should be without one, and here it is in black and white.
Just as you said.
Well, you didn't think I'd made it up, did you?
If you had, you'd have been clairvoyant.
Why? You found out something after I called?
Yeah. Bobbie told me that Brock did return from a business trip 2 days before the murder.
Ha! Don't tell me. Florida, huh?
Travel agent confirmed it.
My goodness. So, what next?
How does a trip to Florida grab you?
You're sending me?
Taking you, how about that?
Well, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
This may be a double-edged sword.
Taking me?
Pursuing the Florida connection.
Oh, my genius is failing me. Explain.
Brock might have gone there because of Bobbie.
Ex-con from Florida. Oops, poor child.
Let's not forget her past, remember?
Oh, no, you don't think he was digging up more dirt, do
Oh,
you?
trying to. I mean, if he already found out something more about her, this is only going to jeopardize her case.
Oh, I'm aware that you're taking me on a job you don't find too savory.
You still want to go?
Of course.
Even if it works out badly.
For better or for worse. But if this is going to be good for Bobbie, I want to be part of it.
Excuse me. What gate does Universal Flight 88 from New York come in?
That gate, sir, where the attendant is opening up.
Thank you. You got that picture of Brock?
Yes, but there's one thing I don't understand.
What?
Well, we know that Brock was on that flight from New York, but why is it so important that the attendant recognizes him?
Well, we're after a recognition, sure. More importantly, we want to know if someone met Brock while he was here. It's a starting point.
Generally, I'm pretty good at remembering faces.
I'm glad to hear that.
Ah, but that night, I wouldn't have recognized my own mother.
Not even your own mother?
Oh, the place was jumping. You see, a lot of flights to Miami were canceled because of a storm at the Miami airport. So Flight 88 was jammed with people who were coming here instead. People were everywhere looking for each other, waiting for somebody.
Are you leading up to telling us you don't recognize this man?
People trying to rent cars? No, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
He said people were trying to rent cars.
And then stop.
She looks very efficient.
And cute?
All we need is efficient. May I help you? Yes.
Yeah, well, I certainly hope you can. My name is Robert Scorpio.
Police commissioner for Port Charles, New York.
And I'm Holly Scorpio.
What kind of car would you like, and what's your destination?
Well, actually, we don't want to rent a car. What we'd like to know is if this man perhaps rented a car on the morning of January 15th. His name is D.L. Brock.
Mr. Brock had a slight New York City accent and a very short fuse.
What?
Well, he could lose his temper with very little provocation.
Oh, I remember him. He snarled at me when I didn't have the make of car he preferred.
That's our boy.
He was really mean. Oh, gosh, I hope he's not a friend of yours.
No, he wasn't. Isn't.
Wasn't.
He's dead.
Oh, police commissioner.
Yeah, I'm looking into it.
Oh, I see.
What we'd like to know is if Mr. Brock met someone here and what his destination was.
I don't think he met anyone, but I can get the other information for you on the computer. It won't take but a few minutes.
Oh. Is there a place we need to get some coffee?
Yeah, there's a coffee machine right over there in the corner.
A machine?
Well, it's no worse than the coffee in the cafeteria. You know, I do remember one thing.
Yeah?
He wanted a road map that would show him the shortest route to Miami.
Miami.
This isn't going to help Bobbie at all.
Let's get that coffee. Thank you.
I have that information for you, Mr. Scorpio.
Good.
Mr. Brock drove our rental car as far as Miami. Now, our mileage indicates that he didn't use the car after he got to Miami.
Where did he turn it in?
At the Miami airport.
The airport? Well, what time did he turn it in?
9:20 a.m.
Well, maybe he stopped somewhere between here and there.
I doubt it.
Why?
Well, if Mr. Brock drove at the speed limit or even a little faster, he couldn't have stopped any place for more than 15 or 20 minutes. If you'd like this copy of the printout...
Oh, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anytime we can help you, be sure to...
Thank you.
Thank you again.
It's very odd.
Well, things are starting to become clear, and some things are not quite so clear. Well, it's clear that Brock's ultimate destination was Miami. What isn't so clear is why he turned that car in so quick. However, I've got to call the airport, Miami, sorry, to find out what time he got that flight back to New York.
So we'll know how long he was in Miami?
Yeah.
That sounds awfully dull, actually. A lot of work finding that out.
It's police work for you. 90% shoe leather, 10% brain work.
Well, I think I'm going to go over to that bookshop over there and get a nice suspense paperback. I'll get my thrills then.
Wait a minute, you're supposed to be helping me.
Oh.
Yeah, all right, so what we'll do is we'll get you a little pile of change, a little bag of quarters there, and then we'll find you a telephone, and we'll divvy up the airports. Come on, dear.
All right, so we know what night flight Brock caught back from Miami to New York. But so far, we haven't learned anything that's been of any help at all. Bobbie. In fact, I think I'm more worried now than I was before we started.
Because we're now pointed towards Miami?
Yes, maybe we were about to open a whole can of nasty worms.
Yeah, well, regardless, I'm still going to check in with Ramsey.
Well, sound cheerful, won't you?
Why?
Well, we don't want him to know that we're depressed.
I don't care if he knows we're depressed or not.
Well, he might think we found out something awful about Bobbie.
Look, Ramsey goes by the book. Depression is not in the police manual. Right. Captain Ramsey, please. It's Scorpio calling.
Yes, Robert.
First, tell me, has the grand jury come in on Bobbie yet?
No.
Ah, no. All right, good. Now, listen, I'm still in West Palm Beach, but the trail is starting to lead us towards Miami.
Oh, that's perfect.
Perfect?
Yeah, I've got a telephone number for you, Robert. It's a number that Brock called the day before he took that overnight trip. I thought maybe you'd check it out for me.
Let's have it.
It's a Miami number.
Okay. Right, go ahead.
All right, it's 305-555-8787.
Okay, got it.
Now, Bobbie didn't recognize the number when I showed it to her, so it's funny. You see, Brock talked to someone at that number for 10 minutes.
All right, listen, I'll get right on this. If it's a lead, we'll go to Miami. If it isn't, we're booking the next flight back to Port Charles. I should see you late afternoon. See you, mate.
I have a nasty feeling we're going to find out something that we don't want to know.
Well, let's find out. Listen quick.
Reached the office of Jerome Garvey, private investigator. I'm out of town for a few days and can't be reached. At the tone, leave your name and number. I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
It's Robert Scorpio speaking, Police Commissioner of Port Charles, New York. My phone number is 555-1901. That's in New York. Could you return this, please, as soon as possible? It's urgent. Thank you. Mr. Garvey is a PI.
Brock contacted a private investigator in Miami?
Yes.
Well, that's very intriguing.
So's the message on his answering service. Can't be reached, out of town.
Well, it's typically hard to find. Private investigators, they're usually pretty elusive.
Or he can't afford an answering service.
Why didn't you tell him what you want?
Isn't police commissioner enough to warrant a return call?
Yeah, I suppose so. Well, now I'm really worried.
Why?
Bobbie's past. She's always said that she told Brock everything about it, and I do believe her.
All right. So, the question is, what else is Brock after? I mean, Bobbie told me about this sudden trip that Brock told her that it was a business deal.
Well, what else did she say about it?
Oh, nothing else. I mean, I guess, nothing I can recall anyway.
You guess?
Well, she said that she told me everything she knew.
Now, she was under a lot of stress when you were talking to her, when you were questioning her, right?
Right.
Robert, do you think that I could talk to her?
What?
She might think of something when she's talking to me that wouldn't occur to her when she's talking to you or the police.
All right. I think you're in for some rather slim pickings, but you got my blessing.
Thank you. Nice to have your blessing for a change.
Yeah. I'm really worried about this case. I hope you can come up with something to help Bobbie. Because she's getting involved in this deeper by the minute. Hi. Said you were here. Just got back from the airport.
You free to talk?
Sure, have a seat. What can I do for you?
Two things, really. First, I'd like to know why you went to Florida, if you don't mind telling me.
All right. Turns out that's where Brock made his secret little trip to.
You come up with anything?
Yeah, we tracked him Palm Beach. The trail after that led on to Miami. Now, it appears that he probably met up with a PI down there, a guy called Garvey. Probably a lowlife.
You're thinking Brock went to Florida to get more information on Bobbie.
It's possible.
He also could have gone on a completely different matter, about somebody else.
I'd like to think that.
But you don't.
Well, I'm not saying that. It's just that I've got to have some facts. I don't mind telling you, I'm up against it on this one.
Yeah, I know. But at least that tells me you're not happy with the DA's case.
No, I'm not. But I've still got too many unanswered questions, like where is the third bullet out of that gun?
Maybe it's still in the person that shot Brock.
We both know that's unlikely.
Yeah. What about this Garvey character?
Well, I still haven't spoken to him yet. As a matter of fact, my secretary, I checked with her. He hasn't called in. His answering machine did say that he was going to be out of town for a couple of days. But the point is that whether this guy is honest or dishonest, I've still got to find out why Brock called him the morning before he went to Florida. We've got no proof that they actually met up in Miami.
Yeah, but it's most likely that they did.
I've got to have facts.
Well, the DA has facts. All adds up right now to circumstantial evidence.
Enough for murder in the second, at least in this state. Well, he says he has enough. You said you had two things to talk to me about.
Yeah. Gail called me. She did a psychological profile on Brock. I'm sure this will come as a surprise to you. The man comes up psychotic.
Kind of man a woman could kill if she had a mind to.
You know, I would be nuts to submit this stuff as evidence.
You can be pretty sure the DA's going to have a similar profile if we go to court on this. Mind if I have a look?
FYI?
My eyes only?
What about the DA?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, this is what's called attorney's privilege material. I think it's your work product, I believe.
Yep.
Something I've got to tell you.
What's that?
Holly's gone to talk with Bobbie. Now, technically, you should be there.
Holly?
If Bobbie was to say anything, Holly would have to tell me. Got it?
Oh, Scorpio, I trust Holly. I'll take that gamble.
There's been enough doom and gloom around here. I think you ought to get out for a while.
Well, are you going to stay a while, Miss Scorpio?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we'll get out and have a little pizza, play a little soft music, and I'll tell you the good news.
Good news?
Yeah, best.
Good. So go. Go. All right. Are
Yeah.
you going to be all right?
I'm fine. I'm
right.
fine. You have a good time.
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll get her back early.
Don't get her back early. I'm fine, really. Have fun.
All right, I'm ready.
Bye.
Bye. Goodbye. Bring back some pizza.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, with some anchovies, huh?
Hey, do you like anchovies? I love it.
You okay? Yeah, thanks. Okay. Back to Florida. Holly, I honestly don't know what Brock would be doing in Florida. He wasn't getting information about me because he knew everything there was to know about my past.
Are you sure?
You reminded me of it so many times. My mind is very fresh.
Okay, so let's say that Brock hired the private investigator for business matter. Let's play around with that idea for a while.
When he came back that morning, he did say something about business. Something about some deal that he was hoping would come through.
Well, did it?
No. No. I remember now he said it hadn't. But that doesn't fit.
You remembered something.
But that has nothing to do with what happened later.
You don't know that. What doesn't fit?
Well, usually when a deal falls through, Brock would be furious.
And he wasn't this time.
No, he was up. He was in wonderful spirits.
What did you ask him about the trip?
Yes, I told you.
No, what I'm after is, did he say anything about the trip other than the business?
No.
Go on.
Well, he had a very dark complexion, but even so, I noticed that he had more color. So I teased him about his mysterious trip.
How?
He was acting very affectionate, and I said something like, oh, well, I know where you've been on your mysterious trip, and he stiffened. And then I said something like, oh, you've been to the Bahamas.
And what did he say?
I don't remember what he said, but he seemed relieved.
About your saying the Bahamas?
Yes. And then after that, he was very agreeable. He was darling.
So maybe his trip was successful.
But he didn't say it was.
But he was agreeable, amenable.
Yeah?
And he stayed pretty much like that for the next couple of days?
Yeah. Till the night of the party.
Well, this is very odd.
You mean as saying that the deal didn't come through, but then acting as though it did?
Yes. You didn't mention any of this when you were being questioned, did you?
Well, no, Holly, I didn't even think about it until we started talking. What does this have to do with what happened later?
Well, he said that the trip wasn't successful.
Yes.
And yet he was acting as though it were.
Yeah.
So it must be important.
Why?
Well, I'm going to let Robert figure that out. I think I've got off something.
I'm thinking.
Well, that's a good sign when I say something and then you start thinking.
Called food for thought. Now, Bobbie said she does not believe that Brock would have put a PI onto her to find out information about her past. However, Brock came back from that trip and said that it was unsuccessful, but acted like a man who was exhilarated.
Very.
So, possibly, something else was going on in Brock's life. Something that had nothing to do with Bobbie or business.
Another element.
Or another person. Someone else involved in the last day of Brock's life.
Involved in his death, which is more to the point.
We find that third person, something tells me we're going to find that third bullet. And I have something here. Something from Bobbie's statement.
What have you got?
All right, here. The night of the party. Now, she maintains here that Brock had no idea about this invitation until he got back in the morning. She was surprised he even wanted to attend it. It's ironic. Turned out to be the worst mistake of his life.
Who invited the Brocks, anyway?
Frisco, in all innocence.
Robert feels that the best lead that we picked up in Florida was this private investigator.
I just can't imagine why Brock would hire one.
Well, neither can Robert, but he's working on it.
Come in. It's open. Jake, hi.
Do you want me to leave you alone?
No, that's quite all right. In fact, I'm glad you're here. I have some news that I think might be good for this third change.
What?
Well, there are two things, really. First of all, the DA has set up a date when he's going to outline the case for me.
He's willing to do that?
Oh, he has to. He's obligated by law. That way the defense is not thrown out of the box by any big fat surprises.
You said there were two things. What's the other thing?
It's just a hunch, Bobbie. But I may have come up with something that can prove your innocence, even to the DA.
Ken, what a pleasant surprise.
I'll just bet it is the way you've been avoiding me.
Now, why would the police commissioner be avoiding the district attorney?
Because you still haven't told me what you learned in Florida about the Brock case.
I haven't?
You know damn well you haven't. I want a report right now.
Sorry.
Sorry. Now, you listen to me, Robert.
I'll file that report when I've followed up on that lead. And as of right now, I haven't done that.
Jake, if you want to discuss confidential details with your client, you know, I'd be very happy to leave.
No need, Holly. We all know you're in Bobbie's corner.
Thank you, Holly. Jake, what did you mean that you can prove I'm innocent?
All in good time, my dear. I plan to show that there was a third person present on the night of the murder.
A third person? How do you know?
That'll be the building's assistant manager. I asked him to come up. Mr. Grady, thanks for coming.
Yeah, I don't have much time.
Well, then I'll get right to the point. You told me, did you not, that on the night of the murder, the night of Mr. Brock's murder here in the penthouse, that you locked the lobby door that led into the stairway, did you not?
I did.
Why? Why did you do that?
Well, there'd been some burglaries in the neighborhood, so I took extra precautions.
In the neighborhood?
Yeah.
Well, were there any incidents, any burglaries or robberies on that night?
Oh, there was I think there was. Let's see. Yeah, in fact, I'm sure of it. There was a car broken into a couple of doors down, and the stereo was stolen.
A couple of doors down? That's right near the building.
Yeah.
Well, then that means that the thief could have gotten into the building. In fact, he could have gotten into the penthouse, couldn't he?
Yeah, it's possible. You know, the police might know. They got a report of it.
Mr. Grady, thank you. You've been very helpful.
Yeah,
Thank
you're welcome.
you.
You're welcome anytime.
Thanks again. See what I mean? I'm on my way down to police headquarters, to check those arrest reports for the evening that he was killed.
You think they might have picked him up that night?
Well, I certainly hope so. And if they did, I certainly want to talk to him. Bobbie, listen, I want you
Yes?
to do something while I'm gone. I want you to think hard, real hard. Try to remember anything you may have seen or heard that even might indicate that there was somebody else in this apartment.
Robert, your trip to Florida, warm, sunny Florida, was at city expense. Am I right?
It was, every penny, but I didn't have a decent meal for the whole trip.
My condolences. Point is, anything that you learned in Florida is official information, and as district attorney, I am entitled to a full report.
Starting with my eating habits.
The meat and potatoes, Robert.
Touché.
Oh, are we fencing? Give it to me, Robert. I know you went down to Florida to check on that trip that Brock made. I also know that his wife was a hustler down there.
Bobbie was a very young girl then.
I'm not passing judgment. I'm asking for what you found out. And I might add, on city money.
Well, why didn't you say so?
Are you having fun, Robert?
Ken, your visits always lighten my day. All right? You want to know? Well, here it is. Brock went to Miami to hire a private detective.
For what?
I don't know yet. I haven't been able to question the guy.
10 to 1, Brock hired him to find some more dirt on his wife. Maybe some crime she was involved in years ago.
It's a possibility.
Think about it. Hookers tend to run with mobsters.
I've heard that.
Let's get more on that.
Meaning you want my department cooperation?
My prerogative, I believe. You get the Miami police force to give us everything they've got on Bobbie Brock, no matter how far back it goes.
Okay, but that's going to take time.
I want the full story on her, and I want it now.
Put this through on the speakerphone. That way when he answers, you're going to be able to listen in.
All right.
You've reached the Garvey office.
Oh, it's his answering machine
At the sound
again.
of the beep, please leave your message and a telephone number, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Well, there's no point in leaving a message again. He's never going to return a call from a police official.
Oh, come on, now, we should be able to come up with a message that would intrigue him enough that he'd call back.
I'm trying to think of something.
Too bad we can't have Brock call him.
What?
Well, if Brock retained him, he'd certainly return a call from Brock, wouldn't he?
Did I ever say what a genius you were, Mr. Brock?
What? Mr. Who?
Brock. In other words, you. Now, I'd make this call myself, but I think the accent's probably going to be a giveaway.
That'd be
Now, listen,
for
I'll
sure.
tell you, when you call that bloody answering machine of his, say it's D.L. Brock and, say that you want him to call you back. Garvey's got no way knowing that Brock's dead.
All right.
All right.
But, now, what message will I leave?
One he's going to pay attention to. Let's think. All right. Say you've got a new assignment for him, and for an added kick, this time there's quite a bit of money in it.
Okay, I'll make the call from my office. You know, this just might work.
Of course it's going to work. Oh, incidentally, put it through on my private line, the one that he can't trace.
Just one other thing. Is there any way that a court would construe this as entrapment?
No, but you're right, it is a trap. All right, it's a good one, too. Get on it.
Okay.
Sergeant, listen, get Ruby Anderson on the phone for me, will you? Yeah, she'll be at the diner. Tell her I'd like to see her in my office as soon as possible. Please. Thanks for coming, Ruby. Hope you don't mind.
Oh, mind. Anything's going to help Bob.
Well, hope we can. Have a seat. I thought I'd throw this in now, but I'm sticking my neck out a little bit on this one, but it's not really all that important.
Oh, if it's going to help Bobbie, it's important to me.
Well, in the final analysis, it's my job to find and charge the guilty, not persecute the innocent. Okay. I want you to think back. Think back to your days in Florida with Bobbie.
So long ago.
Nevertheless, is it possible that Brock could have learned something about her past, something that he might have been able to use against her?
I don't think so.
You ever mention a private eye? A guy called Garvey who worked out in Miami.
No, I never heard him mention it.
Never mention Garvey in any context at all?
No, I'm positive of that.
When, you and Bobbie were in Florida, did she ever have any underworld connections with the mob, criminal element?
Absolutely not.
Rube, look, I don't want to be blunt about this, but I'm going to have to be. It's pretty common knowledge that Bobbie was a prostitute down in Florida.
Oh, yes, I know. It's no secret. Scotty Baldwin blabbed that all over Port Charles.
Yeah, prostitutes are known for their underworld connections.
Yes, but not Bobbie. And I would know.
Yeah, I believe you. That's why I wanted to have this little talk. Were you aware that Brock made a secret trip to Florida?
No, I didn't know.
When he returned from that trip, he was euphoric. Like a kid in a candy store, just like a person who'd gotten exactly what they wanted.
In Florida? I can't imagine. What?
You sure?
Absolutely. Look, I was in business at the same time, Bobbie was. And we had an absolute rule. We had nothing to do with gangsters.
Still, it's obvious Brock learned something.
Well...
You've, no idea what it could have been?
No. No, and I know for sure it was not that. I mean, we knew gangsters meant trouble.
Without exception?
Without exception.
Okay. Well, I guess that's all for now. Listen, I want to thank you for coming down here.
No. I thank you.
Oh?
For helping my Bobbie.
Oh, well.
Thanks, Scorpio. You're truly a good friend.
Thanks.
I have got news, and for once, it's all good.
Jake, what happened?
Well, I saw Ramsey about the arrest reports the night of the murder. You ready for this? There was a guy arrested today for stealing a stereo out of a car.
Oh, there must be more.
Oh, yeah, there certainly is. The guy's name is Vincent Becker. The car that he took the stereo from was parked 2 doors from this building on the night of the murder.
Well, how come Robert hasn't made this connection?
Well, he hasn't had time yet. The guy was arrested today for fencing all that stuff. They were still booking him when I left headquarters.
Did you talk to him?
Not yet, but Ramsey's going to set it up. You know what I think went down that night?
What?
Well, first of all, this Becker character, or any thief for that matter, was in this penthouse before anybody came home that night.
He was right here.
Sure, why not? He was in the process of robbing the place when he heard you guys coming. He hid. Then when you were unconscious, he tried to make his getaway, but Brock confronted him.
And?
Well, Brock had his gun. A fight ensued. The thief took the gun away from Brock and shot him, and then hightailed it out the door.
You know, that could be exactly what happened.
I'm sure it is. Now, Bobbie, I want you to do something. I want you to search this place and see if you notice anything that was stolen.
But I haven't noticed anything.
Well, look again. Look thoroughly this time.
You know, your theory would also explain why there were no unknown fingerprints on the gun. If this Becker chap was a pro, he would undoubtedly have been wearing gloves. And if they were made of some synthetic material, they wouldn't have smudged the prints already on the gun.
That's right.
Jake, if you talk to him, do you think he'll confess?
Well, I'm sure he will not willingly confess, but you know, Scorpio, if you can get a good case against him, he can get him to break.
It would be incredible. I could forget about that dream that I had.
What dream?
A dream that I shot Brock.
Damn it, Bobbie, will you forget about that dream?
I'm explaining my dream.
That's what it was, a dream, a hallucination. It did not happen. It is not a fact. You did not kill your husband.
Hello?
Mr. Brock, please.
Who shall I say is calling?
Jerome Garvey, returning his call.
Oh, yes, Mr. Garvey. You're located in Miami, I believe. Are you calling from there?
Yes, that's right.
I want you to listen very carefully, Mr. Garvey, and for your own good.
I beg your pardon.
You're talking to the police commissioner of Port Charles, New York. Now, this is an official conversation regarding a capital crime. That means if you hang up, you will serve time for obstructing justice. Now, am I making myself clear?
Commissioner, I assure you, I always cooperate with the authorities.
I'm glad to hear about that. Now, tell me why Brock hired you.
I'd like to do that, Commissioner. I really would. But you must know I have a private investigator's prerogative. I can't afford to discuss my privileged relationships with about my clients.
You haven't got a client, Garvey. He's dead.
Oh?
Yes. Oh, and what's more, he was murdered.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. I can hear by your grief that you're all busted up about it. Now, you tell me why Brock retained you.
Sorry. The privilege still stands. Others could be hurt if I reveal any confidential information.
Others? Give me some names.
Sorry.
You'll be a lot sorrier if you don't cooperate with me, Garvey.
Commissioner, that sounds like a threat. You leave me no choice but to terminate this conversation. Goodbye.
Bert, will you come in here, please?
Okay, what's up? I know that tone. You sounded teed off.
Garvey returned my call.
Well, that's good.
Good? The jerk hung up on me.
Oh, that's bad.
All right. Now, I want you to contact the Miami police. Speak to somebody in authority. More better.
What?
Contact the State Licensing Bureau. I want to put a lot of pressure on this Garvey person. I want to squeeze him real hard.
Will do.
Apparently you had quite a good day.
What would make you think that?
Well, you're not growling. Does that mean you got something out of the private investigator in Miami?
Well, I had a talk to him. Didn't learn too much. But I wouldn't worry about Mr. Garvey. By the time I'm finished with him, I'm going to nail his pelt to the wall. What about your day?
Spent most of it with Bobbie. And with Jake. He has a new lead. But then I suppose you already knew that.
What lead?
Well, mostly it boils down to the fact there was a thief in the area of the penthouse the night of the murder.
Oh, yeah. Bert mentioned something about that. Character called Becker. Apparently we have him in custody.
I know. Jake's really banking on this as a big break in the case.
Well, we won't know if it's a big break or not until tomorrow, till we start to talk to this person. Incidentally, I'm going to have Jake in to help me question Becker.
Did you talk to Ruby? I know you planned to.
She came into the office.
And?
Well, she was certainly very willing to talk about her days in Florida with Bobbie. And she wanted to be helpful.
Well, was she?
No. Oh, there was a flicker there when we started to talk about Florida, but no solid information. Certainly nothing that Brock could have found out about Bobbie's life that he could have used against her, and nothing that would have motivated her to want to kill him.
Well, that fits right in with what I think Jake's plan of defense should be.
What?
Lack of motive.
Ah, but you are forgetting something, my dear. That is Brock's uncontrollable temper. I mean, that guy couldn't have been easy to live with.
Bad enough for a wife to murder him.
The DA will try to make that case.
And I'll use the tape as a backup. But who's going to believe all that stuff about Bobbie and Rick Webber? I mean, it's going to be awfully hard to take that seriously, especially with Brock's reputation for irrationality.
Still, I'd like to find some solid evidence, something which would clear her entirely without any shadow of a doubt.
She's very lucky, you know. Most police commissioners would be hell-bent on establishing a case against her. At least you're impartial.
Well, she's still a citizen and entitled to my protection. Just because she's been accused doesn't mean to say she's lost her rights.
Do you think you're going to be able to help her?
I'm going to try. Starting with this Garvey person. I want to know why Brock retained him and what he reported.
What, do you think he'll volunteer then?
Not from Florida, he won't. That's why we're making some special arrangements to bring him here to Port Charles. Where I intend to lean on Mr. Garvey, lean on him hard. Not best leave.